Hey, howdy, and welcome back. So today I want to go over what is commonly referred to as a guild shotgun, or a Belgian guild shotgun, a Liege guild shotgun. This is kind of like a weird catch-all category for double shotguns, side-by-side shotguns, usually with exposed hammers, that are Liege proofed between the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And 99% of the time when you find these things, they are beat up, not only because they're old, but also because, they were used. They went out and they put food on the table, whether it be in the form of pheasant hunting or whatever. And history has not really been ultra nice to them. You can usually find them either with big dents in the barrels, or loose off the face, things like that. Cracked stocks. I enjoy shooting. And that's my biggest thing. I don't have a single gun in my collection that I don't shoot. And so this is going to be basically getting this particular shotgun into working condition. Now, I'm a big fan of the back locks on this one. However, the length of pull on this shotgun fits me perfectly. So I'm going to take you through step by step what I'm doing in order to get this into firing shape, including loading up some all brass 16 gauge here. So let me get started. So the biggest step in determining whether these are going to be shootable as is determining how far off the face the barrels are from the receiver. So through the natural wear cycle of a double gun, a side-by-side, whatever, the barrels will come off face from the receiver by the wear between the lump on the barrels and the hinge pin. That's just the natural part of the wear cycle here. So in testing, 3/1000ths is all I can fit in to the gap between the barrel and the receiver face right there. So this is well within limits. I would say 5 to 6/1000ths is basically when it needs to be redone. The next step would be determining if the firing pins have been broken off or ground off. That was actually pretty common on these. When you find them, people turn them into wall hangers because they're Damascus barrels. So they'll either snap off the firing pins or they'll grind them off. And this one has 2 good firing pins in it. Alright, so now that the off-face measurement has been checked, next step to do is to see if the barrels are still soldered together. These are almost always soft soldered, and it's really easy to do. You just and if it has a nice ring to it, it's good to go. Now, depending on how tightly they're soldered, you'll get an even higher pitched ring. It'll almost sound like a tuning fork, like that. Now, the way to tell if they're not soldered is if you hear, that means that the ribs have come undone at some point. Even if you can't visually see it, you'll be able to jam a piece of feeler gauge under there and feel exactly where they've come apart at. Okay, so the next step is going to be determining if these barrels are dented. Now, these barrels are very thin and it's easy to do. It's a lot easier than what you'd think. So if you look, there's one spot and then another spot right here that looks like they have been previously raised. Now, it's not a very good job, but you can definitely tell from the outside. You can feel it. And looking down the barrel, you're not going to be able to see it, but there's an ever so slight obstruction in there. Then on this barrel, there's one kind of sort of, it's not even really a dent, it's a divot. And then there's a very shallow one right there. Alright, so we got the barrels removed off the receiver here. And you can see the Damascus patterning on this is incredible. And here's the markings on it. You can see choke, so it's a 16.2 and then a 17.1. And then over here we have 16.9, that's the choke, or 16.2 on a 16.9. Then here's all the proof marks. You can see this has been proofed about 1 million times, it looks like. And Damascus special. So, take this visually and show you. I believe that this spot is going to be the problem on this barrel. And you can see, since the finish has been retained in that divot right there, that's how far below flush that spot is. And over here is where one of the dents has been raised. You can see the individual hammer strikes around the perimeter of it, and you can definitely feel it. And then the other one right here. This one is a lot less pronounced, but you can see the little individual hammer strikes on this one too, but you can feel it a lot less. So I'm going to pass the mandrel through this side first. And here's the actual mandrel itself. This is just a 662 slug of steel with a nice chamfer at the very beginning of it. It's been polished really well too. And we'll put this in the chamber end. Okay, what do we got? Went all the way up to the choke. Right there, you can see it. And that's good. We don't want it to go past the choke. We'll tap that back out. Okay. Then we'll go into the next barrel. Nope. Stopped a little early, it sounds like. So let's measure with our rod here. Okay. And it stopped right at that dent. So that means that the chamfer is right at that dent right there. So we'll get started on getting that tapped out of there.